Oh, welcome into Courtside Monday, where Chris Burkhardt is just hanging on by a thread. Chad Doing's picking on me. We're having a good old time, but we're here, and we are in the stretch run as the Blazers just wrapped up a 4-game homestand, and now take on the LA Clippers tomorrow night in a very pivotal game when it comes to the NBA play-in, the standings, and all that jazz. Not the Utah Jazz. Just the jazz that is the NBA play-in and the NBA playoffs. This is Courtside Monday. I am your host, Chris Burkhardt. If you'd like to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. Of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, join the chat there, or hit us up on the Rip City Radio text line, 88528. And, you know, I'm struggling over here because this studio, this computer, this show, everything about it. Hey, hit us up on the text line. Go to sign into the text line. It doesn't remember it because it's a brand new computer. Go to play some audio. Got to log into YouTube. Can't even do that because I forgot my password. It's on my other computer. It's annoying. Chad's over here realizing that it wasn't just me. The button doesn't work over there.
Are you done complaining?
See? You're not even...
It's on right now. Brendan probably doesn't have me turned on. You didn't tell me I was going to join you.
There you go.
Yeah, you're complaining a lot.
Right now, you're a complete disaster, actually, Burkhardt. I ran down. This is what I did. I did not use Stacey Lynn from K103's headphones, but Casey Bay from 105.9 The Brew told me today, if you need extra headphones, there's always some down in the Brew Studios. So make sure you return those to the Brew Studios after you're done.
All right, I will do it. I appreciate you.
You okay over there? I told you. The problem is, I did a good thing by getting us a new computer in the talk studio here, because it operates fast and it's not on constant reset when I was trying to clean the disk up the other day. But the problem is, once you change the computer, you've got to go through and get everyone's profile set up, and it's a pain in the backside. It sucks.
It does, and when you only have 6 minutes in between shows, it's not your fault. It's just technology is a little crazy sometimes.
Well, it is good to see you. What's up, man?
It's good to be here.
I'm just happy that tomorrow we get a legitimate basketball game, unlike that barn burner of a homestand we got with the Nets, Bucks, Mavericks, and Wizards.
There was some bad basketball played over the last week.
There really was, and I'm glad the Blazers, for the most part, handled business and went 3-1. But like tomorrow is like, we talk about these big games or the young core getting a chance to get a playoff taste. Tomorrow's game is huge. The Clippers in LA, and you know that you probably need to beat them not once but twice to get to number 8 in the Western Conference playoff standings. Tomorrow night's game's awesome. It's going to be great. I like big games that matter a lot, and tomorrow's one of those games.
Now, there are people who are still mad because you're not, vying for better lottery position, but it is nice, Chad, that with just a handful of games left, we're actually sitting here watching it for seeding and all, not worrying about, are you going to get the 7th, the 6th, or the 5th best odds? It's like, it is nice to have good basketball here as we approach game 82.
It's a win-win. The way I see it is that if the Blazers get through the play-in and make the playoffs, we get a chance to have a first-round playoff experience, which will be awesome. And if they get into the play-in and get knocked out by the Suns or the Clippers, they keep their draft pick. So the way I look at it is it's a win-win scenario, and we're going to get a chance to sit back and enjoy it. But you're right. The last few years, just hoping the team loses to improve lottery position, that's not a good frame of mind to be in as a sports fan. So to now see them playing in games that matter for a chance to potentially become a playoff team's cool. I'm down.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice for once. And I think, too, though, it's going to be interesting because at this point, you're going to play that game tomorrow. And if you lose it, you can basically wave bye-bye to the 8 spot, which is fine. Just understand that you still have business to take care of because you only have a game and a half lead right now over Golden State. And if you want to get through the play-in, or at least even if you lose the play-in, I'd rather just lose at home and just get that one extra game at Moda Center.
Yeah, I think what's going to probably happen, like the good news is for the Blazers in terms of maintaining 9th. So they've got 6 games remaining, 2 of those against the Clippers, and then you've got the 2 games on the road against the Nuggets and Spurs, and then you get the 2 home games against Sacramento and New Orleans. Assuming they beat Sacramento and New Orleans, which I would expect, that would put them at 41 wins. If you can split with the Clippers, you get to 42. Well, the Warriors are not going to be able to overcome that deficit because Portland hosts a tiebreak on them as well because they won the regular season series. So I think the way it's going to play out is that Portland will be 9th, Warriors 10th. Portland hosts the Warriors in that 9-10 playing game. And then they'll take on, I would expect them to win that game because Steph Curry's not going to come back. And then you take on the winner of the, you take on the loser of the Suns and Clippers and see if you can get into the postseason. That's not a bad scenario. I do think the Suns and Clippers right now are a step above the Warriors and the Blazers. And, the injury to Jeremy Grant, in spite of that, like the Blazers, I mean, really, since that second half against Philadelphia, which was a couple of months ago, I haven't seen them play sound basketball for 48 minutes. I've been waiting. It just hasn't happened. They just haven't quite found their gear or the rhythm, and I keep waiting for it, but it's just not there.
Well, hopefully the Blazers find a rhythm tomorrow.
It's going to be tough. That's going to be great. I can't wait. And, I think what I liked about yesterday, you can't take too much from a win over Washington, but I thought their defensive intensity and their execution on that end to start the game was good. And then I thought the way they were able to limit turnovers. Can you build off of that going into the game tomorrow? That's kind of what I'm looking at. Limit turnovers, remain engaged defensively, and don't dig yourself an early hole. And, they'll have a chance to compete and be in a position to win. You just want to be in a spot where going into the fourth quarter, you got a chance to get the win. I'm a simple guy, Burkhardt.
That's what you want. Because even then, if you're in position in the fourth quarter to be in a position of victory, again, that means you're just playing good basketball. You need to play an entirely good game all the way through. And I'm just excited. I know it just sounds kind of just like we're just saying the same thing here, but it's like the fact that you have a play-in game, the potential for it to be at Moda, game 83, even though it doesn't count statistically, which is still weird. It's just nice. To me, it just proves that the team is doing exactly what we wanted them to do this year, that is finally moving in the right direction.
I didn't think about that. It's actually like a bonus game, right? It doesn't count for your record or anything.
Yeah, the stats don't count, which is dumb.
That's okay. Yeah, it's good. I'm happy the Blazers are there. Who do you think is going to draw Kawhi? Is it going to be Tamani? Who's going to get the bulk of the work on Kawhi?
It'd have to be Tamani. Put him on there. A mix of him and Tease, especially. So that's unfortunate. The matchup becomes even tougher when you don't have Jeremy Grant out, or when you have Jeremy Grant out, because you could rely on him to go and get up on Kawhi here now and then, just because he's so long and can move well. He's a good defender. Having him out is brutal.
Well, I think that's going to be the game within the game I'm going to watch. How they deal with Kawhi, how Kamara is able to handle that challenge. Can he stay out of foul trouble? That's worth the price of admission right there.
It is exciting. Feels weird. It's been a long time since you had a game to get excited about. This is one. It's basically a playoff game tomorrow, Chad. It is basically a playoff game.
Well, when was the last time they had a big game at home this year? When was the last big time matchup that they've had on the schedule?
Oh my gosh, it's been a minute.
I can't think of one. Right? Maybe the Houston games at home that they won back to back. That was pretty solid. But this is the biggest game that they've had in a couple of months.
Yeah. I mean, I felt like that was early in the year, but I felt like it was pretty big and felt like a big deal beating Denver in that in-season tournament game just because there was something on the line. That felt good.
Yeah, the early season games, that they had against the Warriors and the Nuggets were big. That was before the injuries started to mount. But, the Nugget game, when I look back on the season, my favorite games, that first win of the year against the Golden State after they lost Chauncey Billups, that was pretty awesome. Smacked them in the face. We didn't know how they would respond. The Nugget game was terrific because the Nuggets are a legit challenge. The Blazers got the win there, and we saw what they were capable of healthy. And then after that, I just remember individuals raising their level of play, like Sissoko and Caleb Love, and then what Denny Abdi was able to do with so many guys out of the lineup. But in terms of games that matter, this has been the biggest game all year. And the Clippers are a tough matchup. So I'm anxious to see how they respond. And, the good thing is that they're locked into the plan, so we know we're going to get a taste of some postseason play. And then it's an opportunity. I guess the other thing I'm looking forward to, too, aside from Kamara taking on Kawhi, is I thought Scoot played really well yesterday, getting the start in place of Jeremy Grant. Coach was asked about the starting lineup moving forward, and he said they'll have to take some look at it. But I'm hoping that Scoot gets a chance to get the start tomorrow. We'll see what they do with the lineup in that matchup against the Clippers. They're a little bit longer, so maybe they put Sissoko in there, but I would like to see Scoot get a chance to start and showcase what he can do. He was solid yesterday, 21 points, 7 assists, shot the ball well, but he can be a difference maker out there with his pace of play and his physicality. He's been real aggressive on defense of late.
What's going to be brutal is how the team decides to play defense as a unit, because with this team, they have length and athleticism in every position except their old man at the 5, Brooke Lopez. But Brooke Lopez stretches the floor about as good as any big ever. And last, Blazer fans know what he said his all-time record for threes in a game against Portland. And when you have a center who can stretch the floor, tends to put Donovan Clingan out on an island.
Yeah, and that's the only time we've seen Clingan really struggle this year is when teams have been able to get him operating in space. The 2 games that come to mind were the back-to-back games against Cleveland and Phoenix, where he got roasted and was exposed defensively, and this is another one of those games where that could be a bit of a challenge for him. The problem is like what the Blazers have done at times is like they put Grant at the 5 when they go small, and he could be an answer there, but now Grant's unavailable. So maybe I guess you could go Chris Murray. They've played him at the 5 before. There's ways you can combat that if Lopez becomes a problem.
Kind of wish you had Dwap Reith at your disposal right now.
Oh, yeah, he got hurt too.
He didn't get hurt. He got traded.
But he got hurt too. He was hurt and then he got traded.
He got traded, yes. But still, someone who could space the floor and play those minutes.
Yeah, because Krejci, I don't expect him to be available tomorrow either.
He's already listed as out. So him.
Have we gotten a report on Grant in terms of timetable?
No timetable. He's just listed as out as well. But we know how these calf strains work. I mean, he's sitting at a month out probably.
And I think Coach said yesterday they have to proceed as if they're not going to have him.
Yeah.
You can't sit around waiting.
That's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I would not expect Grant to be available the rest of the year. It sucks. And Grant, I love Grant's story this year because he's embraced his role. It's his best season as a Trail Blazer, and he's been a good teammate. Like, he's done all the things you would want him to do, and then he has this, calf situation at the wrong time of the year. It sucks for him because he's played so well.
I'll say this, though. If all it really is a calf strain and it's nothing more, then good for him. Because if you saw the injury when it happened, it was non-contact, just running down the court. And you watch him kind of wince as it happens. And we've seen that be much worse than just a calf strain. So you got to make sure you take care of yourself.
He avoided damage. That's why after the game he was happy because he said he could put pressure on it. I felt much better there just because you don't want to see a guy at this stage in his career suffer some type of long-term serious injury that could hamper the way he can play. If he misses the rest of the year, but he's able to get rest and come back 100% quickly, then that's fine too.
Absolutely.
But this is why, here's the one thing the Blazers are good at because they've had so much experience at it this year. They've done a remarkable job of handling adversity with so many guys out of the lineup. So Grant exits. It doesn't phase this group because that's all they've dealt with this year. They've dealt with guys in and out of the lineup all year. So this is the advantage of playing young guys like Sissoko and Love and Murray. Now, if you have to call upon them at this stage of the season to step in, they have confidence because they've played big minutes. The coaching staff knows what they're capable of, what they can do, and you can get production out of them. That's the advantage of it.
That is good.
It's
and Sissoko's been great. Chris Murray's played out of position. He's been good. So, yeah, you got to rely on those guys, and it goes a long way that I think Thiago has confidence in him to get the job done.
And Sissoko might be a good option tomorrow. Like, he's a little bit reckless sometimes with the basketball, but he's a big, strong body who's physical, and he might bode well in a matchup against the Clippers.
The thing with him, and you're going to see it with Tumani too, and at least with Sissoko, you can afford to maybe go out there and be a goon a little bit and pick up some fouls. But you've seen it lately is getting under guys' skins, kind of irritating them on defense because he won't back off of them.
And he chirps too.
And you need that a little bit.
You do need that. And so I can live with, he's not a great shooter. I can live with some of the, the turnover issues or missed shots because what he's going to give you energy-wise defensively, and he's really good in transition as well. So I think Sissoko could be a good option tomorrow. And I wouldn't be surprised if they put Sissoko in the starting lineup in place of Grant and bring Scoot off the bench based on the matchup.
I did see a tweet earlier today that Nick Batum is on pace to shatter his record for the fewest 2-point field goals ever taken by a player with at least 1,000 minutes played.
Man, Batum's been so great. Like, I remember how he came on in the preseason, in his first year with the Blazers. Like, what a great long career he's carved out for himself. He's so good. I love Nick Batum. All right, this is Courtside Monday. I'm your host, Chris Burkhardt. I'm going to let Chad do it and get out of here. Make sure you take those headsets back to the Brew Studio so we don't get any crazy emails in the morning.
Hey, I like emails about everything I need to fix.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
And I like a chance to blame Chad for something. So, Chad took headphones again, didn't return them, Casey. I'm sorry. He didn't tell me I had to.
I still haven't responded to the second email I got from Stacey Lynn. I was too ashamed. No response.
Got caught with your hand in the cookie jar twice, Chad.
So
Twice. All right, Courtside Monday continues after a break here on your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio 620. Welcome back into Courtside Monday. Chris Burkhardt here with you. Oh, we got through, friends. We figured out our passwords. We got logged in. Technology is a little bit wild when you're trying to log in a short amount of time and you're on a brand new computer that the IT just put in and everything has been signed out and you're just sitting here going, oh, no, come on, sign me back in. What's going on? I need this to work. But we got through. Chad said I was a wreck. I'm not a wreck. I think he set me up for failure. These new computers, no headphones. Okay, that one's my own fault. Forgot the little adapter, and Brendan knows. You missed the adapter. It's just like, okay, game's over. Now I feel bad. But I got headphones. My voice is not as crackly as it has been for the last week. Everything's coming up Millhouse. Had to get a Simpsons reference in there. This is Courtside Monday. I am your host, Chris Burkhardt. You can follow me on social at Chris J. Burkhardt. And, of course, you can join the conversation on the show here. You go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, or you can hit us up on the Rip City Radio text line, 88528. One of our comments on YouTube says, what happened to Krejci? He's just dealing with a calf bruise. They're just playing that one with an abundance of caution. Nothing major. They do need that shooting, though, as quick as possible. Get him back into the lineup. Well, tough part about that trade is I feel like he's never really gotten to a groove with the Blazers. He'll be fine in the long run. His shooting form is just fine. The shot will fall. He's a 40% career shooter for a reason. That's not all of a sudden going to dip. And, now he's a 25% shooter. Like, no, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. But I'm with you. It's just like, oh, my gosh, I want to see him in the lineup. It's better when he's in the lineup, so get in the lineup. But you got to make sure those injuries don't hamper you in the long run as well. Now, speaking of injuries, we were talking about Jeremy Grant a second ago. He suffered a calf strain, said he heard a pop in his calf, and then that was it for the game against Dallas. And he talked to the media after that game.
Just trying to take off. Felt a little something, so we'll get a check tomorrow. See how it is.
Says that you felt a pop.
Damn, yeah. Yeah. How you get that? Yeah, it felt a little bit of something. I could put a little pressure on it, so hopefully it's not too bad.
And what's your level of concern? Find out tomorrow, I guess. But
yeah, I'm always hopeful. Like I said, I could put some pressure on it, so shouldn't be too crazy, God willing. So we'll see.
And there you hear from Jeremy Grant, and he could put pressure on the leg, which is a good thing. He can walk. He's just fine. Obviously, if there was like severe Achilles damage in there, it would be a whole different story. He seems confident, but it's not something they're going to rush him through. And we know how these calf strains work. We've seen plenty of players miss a month or more. So I would venture to guess that Jeremy Grant's probably out for the year at this point, which is unfortunate because he's been, as Chad said, very, very good for Portland. Kind of found his role, got into it, and understood it early in the year. We were talking about how he could maybe be, sixth man of the year if he keeps playing like that. Now he bounced back and forth between the starting lineup and out of the, off the bench and then out of the lineup with various injuries. And so it's been up and down. But overall, he's been exactly what the Blazers needed him to be. Now, I know people always get up in arms about what any particular player is making and, he's way too expensive and yada, yada, yada. And that's not my job, but the GM and the finance guys worry about how much money they're paying him. But Jeremy Grant, I still think has been incredible. A good bounce back year when you compare it to last year. He averaged 18.6 points per game and rebounding the ball. Not at a high clip. That's not what he does, but still giving you 3.5 rebounds, 0.6 blocks, and shooting the ball at 38%. So a good year from him and kind of on par with what he has done here in Portland. But it's just more about that role, though, because, he's had production-wise, he's had times here in Portland where he's put up more points. You got to go back to 23-24, and he was 21 points per game. But he was also starting every single game and playing 34 minutes a night. Right now he's playing just 29 for the Blazers, and he's won the team quite a few games. And if you go to per 36, then his per 36 numbers bear out that he's having a very, very good year for the Blazers. So unfortunate that injury happened. Unfortunate that Vit Krejci's sitting out, and still unfortunate that you're likely done with Shaedon Sharpe for the year as well. Injuries continue to hamper this team. This team has missed more man games than anyone else in the league. And it's just unfortunate, again, that they continue to rear their ugly little head. Now, without Jeremy Grant, the Blazers did make a change to the lineup in that game against the Wizards. They went with Scoot Henderson, Drew Holiday, Denny Avdia, Tumani Kamara, and Donovan Clingan in the starting lineup. And that's something that Thiago Splitter said that they will keep moving forward, keep rolling with Scoot Henderson, see how it works. So expect that to be the lineup tomorrow against the Clippers. And Scoot Henderson, it played pretty well in that game, in that starting lineup. Goes in there, gets his 20 points, and you're looking at it going, okay, Scoot, I like what you're laying down. It was an efficient game. Now, can you build on that? Because he's had a few ups and downs through this season. He's only played a handful of games, a couple dozen at this point, because he was dealing with that offseason quad tear, and it was a minute before he got back in. But with Scoot, a lot of people want to throw that B word on him, bust, and I just don't see that. I see a very, very good NBA player, a guy who's going to round into his own. He changes the game. He's a good playmaker. He's not relied upon to go out there and score in bunches, but he is relied upon to go out there and make those around him better. And in that game against Washington, he had 21 points. He was the second leading scorer behind Tumani Kamara had 23, but he had 7 assists and just 2 turnovers. And those 7 assists were the most on the team. And that's where he's finding ways to impact the game. I was getting in a debate with some Blazer fans today talking about who we comp Scoot to. And you guys know that I've talked about it many times on this show, that I compare him much less, like people talked about through like the Russell Westbrook out there, or Derrick Rose when he was drafted because he was so athletic. And I've thrown out Chris Paul, Tony Parker, Steve Nash, Jason Kidd, all elite point guards, all Hall of Famers, all all-time greats. But I threw his name out there because they weren't go-to scorers. They were when they needed to be, but their strength was making the team around them better. Between the 4 of those players, for example, they have 79 years of experience, but also just 4 seasons total where any one of them scored 20 or more points per game. Tony Parker did it twice. Chris Paul did it twice. But I believe the number was something like 25 times between those 4 too, that they finished top 10 in the MVP race because they made the teams around them better. Now, of course, you could argue, oh, Chris Paul doesn't have a ring or this, that. Chris Paul was great. One of the best guards of his generation in the NBA. Good on both sides of the ball. Now, you compare those 4 guys in their first 3 seasons in the NBA, and the only one that is leaps and bounds better than Scoot over that same period is Chris Paul. And then Jason Kidd is marginally better. And then statistically, which is not the entire story, I know that. There's a lot more that plays into it, but just statistically, he's on par with Tony Parker and better than Steve Nash through those first 3 years. Now, that is not an indication of where he's going or his trajectory. Like, do I see him winning MVPs like Steve Nash? I don't. Do I see him going to, multiple all-star games over and over and over like a Jason Kidd and like a Chris Paul? I don't. But do I see him making his team better when he's on the floor, despite the fact that he's not a go-to scorer? That I do. And another name, a friend of the show, Keith Feltner-Smith, throws out there a lot, is like a Mike Conley. Mike Conley was just like the consummate professional. And he was great on both sides of the ball. Very, very good defender for a point guard. But he went in there and he absolutely was able to run the offense, score when you needed to, and make those around him better. That's what I think Scoot Henderson is. I don't think Scoot Henderson is your 25-point-per-game guy. I think he is unfortunately living in a shadow of Damian Lillard because of when and where he was selected. And you're following in the footsteps of arguably the greatest player in team history, one of the greatest scoring point guards of all time, and a guy who could go out there and drop 70 on you like it was nothing. That's just not Scoot's game. But I do think you're going to have lots of games where he's having 10, 12, 13 assists and just lighting up the scoreboard that way, making those around him better. I like Scoot. Definitely not label him a bust. I saw Keith Smith, not to be confused with Keith Feltner Smith, but Keith Smith of Spotrac tweet out about how he's still on the Scoot Henderson train. A lot of people are jumping off, but he's still driving that bus. I was like, well, I call shotgun. I call shotgun because I still think Scoot is a good player. And one thing he's proven is, again, he's a basketball player. He's an NBA talent. Is he your starter, your bench player? We'll still see. But keep in mind, he is younger than Damian Lillard was when Damian Lillard entered the league. Scoot is still a basketball baby, and he's doing pretty good. If you want to join the conversation, go to youtube.com, type in Riv City Radio, where Alex says, I hope the Blazers can get their turnovers and free throws under control so they can be competitive and give themselves a chance in the playoffs. They are a real menace if they can. Well, yeah, if they can keep their turnovers down, they're going to give themselves a chance. But those 3 straight games on that homestand where it was 20 turnovers or more between Brooklyn and Milwaukee and Dallas, they had turned the ball over 70 times. It was nice to see that not be the case against Washington. Now, they started that game off very, very lethargic, very, very slow, but they were able to bounce back. They had a 24-15 lead after the first, but it still felt like there was no gas. They're like, you drive a U-Haul and you get on the freeway and you're getting passed by traffic because they cap the speed. You're like, nope, can't go an ounce over 65, baby. I think everyone else is doing 90, and there you were in the U-Haul. That was the Blazers' offense. But about midway through the second quarter, they turned it on. It was tied 39-39. Then they went on a 19-8 run, took the lead, never looked back, won the game 123-88, going away. And with the way the game started, I wouldn't have predicted that would have been the score. And then at the end of the night, they had just 14 turnovers, 10 fewer than they had against Dallas, and below their season average, which is nice. After the game, Thiago Splitter talked to the media.
Like that one a little bit better than the last one?
Yeah, I mean, I think we did our job. We compete, start the game better defensively, and took care of the ball. I think that was our goal tonight. He was way better. Didn't try for hero passes as much and try to play simple. As I said before, hit singles. And, we didn't shoot the ball extremely well, didn't rebound like we used to, but still, just taking care of the ball was solid defense. We got a good result.
You said hero passes. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah. So imagine there's a back door and there's very tiny space to get that ball in. Sometimes we try too much. Or in transition, there's a pass, but there's a small gap where you want to try to pass the ball and you go for it. So sometimes it's great. It goes in, looks awesome. But there's a lot of times where we miss that pass, or they deflected or stole the ball, and I call it those hero passes. It's look good when you get it through, but it's a bad transition coming back to the other team. So.
How would you describe the mindset ahead of the Clippers game and its importance?
I told them right now to start to think about that. It's going to be the most important game of the season. Start to think about matchups. We're going to start to send clips individually, players, personnel, who they're going to guard. Extremely important, one of the most important, like I said, right now, the most important game of the season.
Thiago, UConn hit an all-time classic shot in the Elite Eight today to beat Duke. It happened right during halftime. I'm wondering if, after you were done talking to the team, was DC asking you to put the game on the TV to check in on his alma mater?
No, I actually watched it on my office. So I spoke with the team, and I went to my TV was on. That game was on, and I saw the shot. Crazy finish.
Are you aware if DC was able to watch it? Or did you hear it?
I think he saw it. Yeah, I think he watched it somewhere because we have a bunch of TVs in the background there in the video room. So I guess he was there also watching.
What do you think how Scoot played tonight?
Great. I think he did what he's supposed to do. He pushed the pace, took care of the ball, shot, 6-11, 7 assists. I think he was good.
Are you sort of moving forward? I know there's not an unknown with Jeremy. Are you sort of approaching it as if you won't have him as you move forward in the rest of the regular season? It seems like those calf strains.
Yeah, you have to. Right now, you have to. You cannot wait and just be, hoping that he comes back. And you got to just, just go with what you have and face those games like that, prepare, scout.
And there you hear Tiago Splitter asked right there about prepping without Jeremy Grant. And that is the case. He might come back in 2 games, but you don't know that yet. And you got to prep as if he's not playing, because here's the thing. He's not right now. So you got to be ready for that. He also asked about Donovan Clingan watching that UConn game. What a game winner that was. March Madness is absolutely awesome in the best way possible. Now, of course, in that game, the Blazers were led by Toumani Camara. And I think Toumani Camara, he's led the team in scoring that night. He set his career high a few games ago with 35 points, was lights out from beyond the arc, and has become obviously a very viable offensive option. Doesn't have to be their go-to player, but he's been good. And then defensively, still as advertised. I will not be here for the Toumani Camara slander. The effort he gives on that end is phenomenal. And as Chad talked about earlier, he'll likely be tasked with guarding Kawhi in large chunks tomorrow. He talked to the media after that game as well.
What did he say after the game? What was your kind of takeaway from that?
It's a big game for us, We fighting for the 8th spot, and we play them 2 more times before the season's over. So being able to win both of these games, I think it's the most important games for us right now, looking at it, and try to focus on that situation.
In a game like this, when you play a team like Washington that's, whatever you want to call what they're doing, tanking or whatever, looking how far you guys have come, do you kind of make that juxtaposition and what that means to you and to be on the other side finally?
Yeah, for sure. It really sucks sometimes. I mean, for me, I can only speak by my experience, but it really sucked when you're not playing to win, and it's really hard to keep playing with the same energy and the same mindset. So being on the other side of that is for sure better, but I think I think the NBA is trying to find a way for this situation to happen a little bit less, which I think is good for the game. And yeah, it's a weird situation for sure.
What do you expect to see out of you guys in LA?
I think it's a good test for us. It's my first time being able to have a chance to play postseason. And I think that's one of the first challenges that we're going to have to prepare ourselves for the postseason is how can we approach a game with a high level of intensity and treat it like every other game, but at the same time try to make as less mistakes as possible and with the high level of focus.
Money, I think you guys were tied at 41-41 with about, 4 minutes to play in the first half, and you guys really took off from there. What were you guys able to do, particularly in the second half, to pull away?
It's all about the pressure. We know this team plays hard, even though the situation that they're in right now, they play hard. They're shooting a lot of tough shots and stuff like that, so they can catch fire with a lot of energy and shot making. So we just got to stay on our P's and Q's and stay locked in on the process and what the coach has been telling us and trusting each other. Moving the ball, playing the right way, making winning plays, and I think we did a good job at that. Stay connected.
And there you hear from Toumani Camara, obviously right off the bat, talking about that Clippers game. They know the importance of it. They know they have to be locked in. They have to be ready to go. Be assignment sound. Win in the margins, as Chad likes to say. Don't play hero ball. Don't make those hero passes so you don't turn the ball over so much. Maybe the Blazers can go into Intuit Dome and silence the Clipper faithful tomorrow. Big, big game. Exciting. All Blazers game day for you. Starting at 6 because it's an 8 p.m. tip-off. Oh, my gosh. I hate those. I almost want to go to bed when it's an 8 p.m. tip. But we'll be there. We'll be ready for the biggest game of the year thus far. This is Courtside Monday. When we return, some big news as it pertains to ownership of your Trail Blazers, and that broke today. We'll talk about when we return here in your home of the Blazers, Rip City Radio, 620. Welcome back into Courtside Monday. Chris Burkhardt here with you. If you want to join the conversation, 503-248-0620 is the telephone number. You hit us up on the text line, 88528. Or, of course, you can go to youtube.com, type in Rip City Radio, and join the chat there. Where a checkered past says, my son was fortunate enough to go to the game last night. Heck yeah. Heck yeah. How many buckets just got broken with that UConn upset? My bracket got broke the minute Florida decided to not show up because I had them winning the whole thing. Shows what I know. Brutal. But that's March Madness, man. It's madness for a reason. You never know what's going to happen. Sometimes the whole bracket gets flipped on its head. I mean, I did name my bracket the busted bracket from day one, knowing full well that it was going to crash. I do think the only time I've ever won was years I picked Duke to win. But there was a stretch there that no matter what, I just picked Duke. I don't watch a ton of college basketball. Obviously, my time is consumed by the NBA and local high school sports. Still dabble here and there. The bracket's fun. March Madness is one of the greatest sporting events on the calendar. But that UConn victory was something else, wasn't it? Duke dominated most of that game. UConn comes back, gets that last second from the logo. He knew it was pure, too, the minute he let go. Now, got a few minutes left here in the show. I said I do have some Blazer news for us. And this was tweeted out today by Jason Quick of The Athletic, that the NBA Board of Governors has unanimously approved the sale of the Trail Blazers to the group led by Dallas billionaire Tom Dundon. Excuse me. And we all knew that obviously that was going to be the case. Was they were selling the Dundon, and then the vote got approved today unanimously, which is great. You've seen the reports from those in the know about Jody Allen only wanting to sell to someone who wanted to keep the team in Portland. That's great. And then Jason does also add that 19.9% of the ownership group will still include Burt Cold, but that is until September 1st of 2028. Burt Cold will only be an observer in board meetings. I'm told he will not have input on decisions. And as much as a good or bad rap Burt Cold gets from fans in the organization at times, it's like, hey, the guy's been here for a very long time. He was there with Paul Allen. And you know what? If he's not making decisions and he's still in there as an observer and, helps Dundon through the process, so be it. I think the thing here that is exciting is Jody Allen was thrown into that ownership role just under the worst of circumstances. The absolute worst of circumstances. Her brother passed away, and she took over controlling of the estate. She got the Seahawks, and she had the Blazers, and everything had to be sold as part of the estate. But she's still there running it until that happens. And it's been a roller coaster, but she never signed up to be a team owner. She had to keep the thing afloat until they found one. Then it goes up for sale. Here's Tom Dundon. He's ready to go. And what excites me is now you get true ownership eyes and a different viewpoint than Paul Allen and the Allen family. And that's not to say that their view was bad. Not by any stretch. Paul Allen was great. Blazer fans loved Paul Allen. And Jody Allen, if you go talk to players and stuff, most of them loved the work she did too. She took care of them. But I think the idea of just getting a new eyes on the ship and a new idea and a new approach is absolutely a good thing. So I'm very, very eager to see the approach that Tom Dundon does take. I think it's going to be important. Now, Sean Hyken has done some very good deep dives, so I do implore you to go to the Rose Garden Report and check that out. And we do have a video on our YouTube page you can go check out as well, where he joined Chad the other day talking about possible changes and things Tom Dundon could do. And could there be a change in radio even? The fact that, you could go to the simulcast route where you take the TV broadcast and that becomes your radio broadcast. That's something that may or may not be on the table. I don't know as much as Sean does, so definitely go watch that video that Chad put out there on our YouTube page. Listen to Sean Hike and make sure you're following him at the Rose Garden Report to get as much info there as well. But regardless of what the changes are going to be, and there will be some, that's what happens when you get new owners. Like I said, I think the biggest thing and the biggest positive here now for the Blazers is just getting a fresh set of eyes on it. Sometimes, like me, when I write an article or, I'm writing stuff down, you look at it and you look at it and you're like, I'm going to proofread it. And you look at it and you look at it, okay, it's done. And then you have someone else come look at it and like, oh man, missed this word, missed this word, missed this word. It's like, the importance of just getting a second set of eyes. You make a graphic for social media and you take it to one of your coworkers like, hey, I made this graphic. Will you take a look at it too? Oh yeah, I really like it, but maybe you change this. You make those changes like, oh, it's better. I like it. Thanks for the input. The importance was getting a second set of eyes. A new pair of eyes to look at it. So I think that's what you're sitting here with Tom Dundon. A new, fresh set of eyes and a new approach to the Blazers. Something the Blazer fans are not used to because Paul Allen was in charge for so very, very long. Hopefully Tom Dundon gets those new eyes on it. And I'm excited to see where it goes. All right, music means it's time to go. Be sure to lock into Rip City Radio tomorrow as the Blazers take on the Clippers. Tip off at 8 o'clock. I will have Blazers Game Day for you starting at 6. Until then, as always, thanks for tuning in. And Rip City, I love you.